I can say about this model is that it's unlike any other kind of recovery model that exists in North Carolina. This is a model that takes individuals, brings them to a place of finding hope for themselves, giving them opportunities to assume responsibility not only for their own recovery but for the care and concern of their peers who are joining them in the process of recovery. And this empowerment model really will have a transformational impact upon the community here. We know that in 2015, we estimate that our alumni had $4.3 million withheld through taxes, through employment, and this is after more than 50% of individuals before recovery are not working, not paying taxes. So that was significant because it simply offset the operating expense of the Healing Transitions model in Wake County. So we know not only does it impact the community in a very positive financial way, it makes a tremendous difference to the individuals, to their families, and their communities. But I can't say it any better than somebody who's had that actual experience, and I'd like to invite Dennis Tripp, who currently works for us as a planning room assistant at the men's campus, who is from Greenville and came to Healing Place at the time and found recovery. He can tell you and do much better justice than I can the impact that this has had upon him and his family and his community.
It's tough to follow Chris Butnick, but I've been having to do it a couple times now since the Trillium thing has got underway. My name is Dennis James Tripp, and I am from Greenville, North Carolina. The reason I say Dennis James Tripp is because everyone from Greenville or Pitt County, including the 3 deputies, probably know me as James Tripp. I've lived here since 1973. I've been in that building several times, the building over there several times, and the big building on 3rd Street hundreds of times. Okay? I'm referred to the courthouse. I was a bail bondsman here in Greenville for 9.5 years. I knew a lot of people here. As a result of 5 DWIs, 2 of them being habitual DWIs, and referral from my ex-wife to Holly Hill, so to speak, I ended up at the Healing Place of Wake County. And when I got there, the reason I say they called me Dennis now is I walked into shelter and I was looking around and they threw a mat on the floor and they said, that's where you're going to sleep. And I never bothered to tell them I go by James because I never had any plans to be there longer than about 2 or 3 weeks. And 5.5 years later, they're still calling me Dennis. My experience with Healing Place or Healing Transitions, Healing Place at the time, was when I got there, they didn't tell me that if you stay in this program, we'll go to court with you and we'll make sure you don't get an active sentence. They didn't tell me that. They didn't tell me if you stay with us, go through this program, the daughter you used to steal money from out of her pocketbook and leave IOU so I could go drink, you know, that she would ever return and call me on a weekly, daily basis, come to pick me up, you know, and drive me back and forth to Greenville to visit family. They didn't tell me that it would ever come back into my life the way it is. They didn't tell me if you stay in this program that your friends who were scared to answer the phone before because you were always calling them trying to get something out of them will start calling you to find out how you are. They just told me. They showed me this board with a bunch of pictures on it, and it's a memorial board, and they just told me, they said, if you want your life to change and you need your life to change, you stay here and work this program and we'll show you how it can change. They never promised me anything but food, shelter, and clothing to begin with. But it turned out I finished the program. Judge Duke saw fit to send me to a year in prison, 2012. The whole time I'm in prison, the people from the Healing Place continued to write me correspondence. I'd write them back. It made me feel like I was still a part of that community. When I got out, there was a job opening. I went back to Healing Place to officially finish the program to Silver Chip. And by the way, I'm Silver Chip number 578. lose track of that. What's your number, Ed? 678?
Yes, sir.
I'm 578. That's how I keep it. So, and this job was open, and they asked me to apply for it, and I did. And out of 8 people, they chose me, and I'm glad they did. So every day now, every morning when I wake up, I don't have to scratch my head with a hangover and wonder how I got home, if my vehicle's parked in the yard and who drove it. My first thought when I wake up in the morning is how everybody in the program is doing, and I can't wait to get to work to check on them, to see who left and who decided to stay and who's going to, you know, make the venture of recovery. And I have to give a shout out to it. You know, more so I look at this building and I looked at the plans, and I have to go back to one thing Rusty Duke told me. Judge Duke, me and him were standing in court, and we were kind of back and forth, and I told him where I was in the program and what program. I had meeting sheets with over 400 meetings, 12-step meetings I had attended, and I said, Judge Duke, Pitt County really needs a healing place in Greenville. It really needs a healing place, and I was emphasizing, hoping I could get a better deal out of him. He just finally real bluntly looked at me and he said, I'll tell you what. He said, when you get your stuff together, maybe you can come here and bring a healing place to Greenville. But you need to get your stuff together first. He slapped the gavel and gave me a year in prison. So, but I look at this model, I look at the one in Raleigh, you know, the facility in Raleigh, and I keep hearing the term model. And for so many of us, you know, that have been caught up in alcoholism and addiction, I hate to refer to it as a model, because to me it's a home, you know. It's the place where I found recovery. It's the place that I restarted my life. It's the place that I got my life back on track. And they never asked me for anything, you know. And that was just amazing to me. They just said, you follow the guidelines and your life will get better. That's the only guarantee they ever gave me. If you'd have asked me when I was 50 years old, 3 weeks to go in prison, and I looked around and I thought, this may not be a bad deal. You're a 50-year-old man with no driver's license, practically no future. What are you going to do? And whenever you look around and you see prison as maybe a viable option for the rest of your life because you're unsure of what the future holds. And the only thing I knew to do, because I didn't want to stay in prison, was to return back to the healing place. And my life has turned out more extraordinary, more fantastic than I ever dreamed or imagined it could. If you'd asked me on Thanksgiving Day of 2010, where would I be today? I'd had no idea I'd be standing here sharing my story with y'all. You know, with my wife, or ex-wife, and my daughter, and my best friend standing here. You know, we're something. We don't know what we are. We get along a lot better now than we used to. So anyhow, you know, and I have to say, I keep thinking about healing transitions, the buildings, the models they're referred to. What really makes healing transitions or healing place what it is the people like Chris Butler, the people like Dennis Parnell, you know, the employees that I work with every day, the compassion and the passion I see for recovery and how they go above and beyond every day to help the fellow addict, the fellow alcoholic. It's just extraordinary to me. And it's true. You can't keep it if you don't give it back, you know. And that's what we do every day. And that's what makes the facility and the program what it is. It's the people that started it and the people who work there. It's not the building. And so I say, you know, being a proud resident of Pitt County for so long, I'm so glad to see this come here. I've had 3 cousins die from heroin overdoses, you know. And I knew for a long time that Greenville and Pitt County and the 24 other counties really had a need for this. And this is the greatest program I've ever seen. I mean, truly. And thank y'all. Thank everybody.